it was like a double-edged sword. Greetings, this is your host Lavinia Rasani, and in today's video we are going to continue chapter 14 of the novel Snowblind by author Cassie Miles. So grab yourself your cup of tea or coffee or hot cocoa and join me. Welcome back. So last week we saw that Sam Moreno was at the door of Sasha and he was knocking, trying to talk to her. Brady had just left the hotel. We don't know if he was already driving away yet because there was a time span of only like 1 minute. So he might still be around the hotel or coming back up. We don't know. But Sasha did not open the door yet. Hopefully she won't open it, but let's see what's going to happen in chapter 14. And again, if you want to read this book on your own time, the link for the book will be in the description below. So go ahead and check it out. If you like the book, you can always go to the Amazon page and drop a review or drop a rating. The link is going to be in the description. So let's jump right into chapter 14 and see what Sasha does. Is she going to do something stupid? I'm thinking something stupid is gonna happen, but let's see. Chapter 14 starts with describing how scared Sasha is, how the panic bubbled up inside her as she was deciding what to do. Does she open the door? Does she let Sam Moreno in? Does she run away? What does she do? Her fingertip resting on the doorknob, she was contemplating her next step. Sam Moreno, however, was not going to give up easily. He kept banging on the door and asked Sasha to opened the door for him because he had something important to talk with her. The logical side of Sasha was telling her that she was overreacting, that Sam Moreno was not going to come in and kill her with the camera and everything around, but she was still scared and realized that even if she was overreacting, she'd be a fool to invite him inside of her room, particularly if he was a murderer, because the murderer had already killed 2 people and Sasha had witnessed how quickly he had killed the other woman. So with just one slash of his knife, she would be dead. And the best choice that she came up with was that with the surveillance outside, she could talk with him outside and have everything recorded in case anything happened. So she picked up her phone so that Moreno will know that she's in constant contact with someone, and opened the door and just got outside to see what Moreno wanted. As Sasha got out of her room, she noticed that Sam Moreno was not dressed in black anymore. He was actually wearing a rose-colored turtleneck under a black thermal vest, which made his eyes shine brighter. But she also noticed that his smile was very charismatic. Actually, his whole attitude itself was very charismatic, which meant Sasha had to be really careful around him so that she would not be charmed by his smile or his words and his slight plotting. So when Sam asked if he could come into the room, Sasha said that no, she would be more comfortable out here. With her left hand, gripping on the front of her robe, she held her phone in her right hand. Going right to the point, Sasha asked what that important matter that he needed to discuss was. Sam Moreno said that he heard that the name of the murdered victim was Lauren Robbins and that he knew her. His timing surprised Sasha. She and Brady had received the confirmation of the identity only a few hours ago, and it seemed like everybody already knew about who the body was. But Sasha wanted to know who actually told him, which Sam replied that his assistant had heard it earlier when she saw Reinhard and the sheriff talking and heard the name of Lauren. After getting confirmation that it was Lauren's body, Sam Moreno came directly to Sasha, which confused her because she was like, "Why did you come to see me?" After getting the information. Sam Moreno said that, "I'll be truthful with you. Damian Luglin is a lawyer, but you're the one who really gets the job done, aren't you?" If you ask me, Sam Moreno is very manipulative, and that question, as the writer indicated, had a double-edged. It was like a double-edged sword, and I believe so too. I'm thinking his question have a double meaning to it, or like there's something hidden, something sinister hidden in his question that was covered by fake praising, like, "Hey, you're subordinate to your boss, but you're the one who actually does the job, aren't you?" Which in itself is suspicious. Sasha, however, was not going to play Sam Moreno's game. Instead, she asked if there was anything Sam Moreno wanted to tell her about Lauren Robbins, which would be useful for the case in case he did. Sam Moreno replied with, "I want you on my side." His voice held a disarming piece of honesty accompanied by his smile. Lauren was handling a real estate transaction for me at Jim Birch Dude Ranch. Earlier today, you and Brady were there. Wait a minute. If I remember correctly, Lauren was working for the other dude who died, not him. Sam Moreno's smile and the persuasive tone of his voice were working their magic. I told you, he's manipulative. She felt her fear beginning to ebb. If you know anything about the murder, you should talk to the police. And I'm certain that Damian will want to be present when you do. Am I a suspect? But instead of replying and saying a yes and a no, Sasha actually pulled up a very, I would say, intelligent course of action. She mimicked what she read in every detective novel and said everybody is a suspect, which is good. It's not a yes or a no. Rest assured, I did not do anything wrong. I'm here to help the investigation, and that's all. He held out both hands with the palms up to indicate he had nothing to hide. I knew Lauren well. She was a strong woman, tough and perhaps too ambitious. Her dream of wealth clouded her other perception and made it difficult for her to find peace. Then he follows up with, "You remind me of her in a good way. All this tells me he's covering up his ass. That's what he's doing. Oh, bum, if you want me to be more correct. He was covering up because he's like, oh, I know this woman, she's so and so and so, but then give compliment, give some negative stuff, and then compliment again, and then tell the other person that, oh, you remind me of all these good stuff about that other person. It kind of sounds a bit suspicious to me. I don't know about you. It seemed like Sasha was finally graced with some intelligence, because she knew Sam was dangling a carrot in front of her nose, and that thousands of people were his followers and hang on to his words like it was food for them. And she was like, why shouldn't I get a free reading since he's proposing and basically trying to get to her? She asked, how so? You have ambitions, Sasha, and you must honor those ambitions. If you conceive it, you can achieve it. And you're also a caretaker. I guess you came from a big family with 4 or 5 siblings. Are you the youngest? Yes. For half a second, she wondered how he knew about her family. Then she realized that the personal information wasn't hard to come by on the internet. You see, that's just like a con man. Like, just giving enough information, telling her something personal and telling her something good about himself. You know, I've watched a lot of con movies, so this is basically it. Being his charming self, Sam said, you like the balance offered by a legal carrier. But you don't like the restriction of law. You're more suited to a profession like meditation. See, he's pitching his idea, because he does meditation. And I'm proven right yet again. Sam Moreno said, don't worry, if you lose a job with Damien, you're the type of person who finds opportunities. With your optimism and enthusiasm, you'll be hired again. He paused. I could help you. I could be your mentor. He was like basically reaching out to her and trying to get her to be his follower so that he would have a deeper connection in the case, and be deeper understanding of what was happening, especially if he was a suspect and if he was actually the murderer. Sorry for moving that much, but I was trying to get comfy here. So, where was I? Yeah, that he was basically reaching out for her and trying to get an inside look in the investigation, because if Sasha was to become his follower, she would be inclined to give out more information to him. But Sasha knew better. She was not going to be one of his minions. She said, I appreciate that you came forth with information and I'll pass this on to Damien. Down the hall, she saw that the elevator opened and Great Jacobson came out and was approaching them. She could literally have jumped up in happiness because she wanted to get out of this conversation. Jacobson greeted Moreno and turned to Sasha. Step inside with me, Sasha. We have something to discuss. Sasha was relieved. She bid Moreno goodbye and went into her room with Jacobson, closed the door and leaned her back against it. Thank you. Instead of being nice, he glared at Sasha and said, didn't Bradley tell you to stay inside of your room? And don't open the door for anyone. Sasha nodded and said, I knew you would be watching. That's why I didn't let him into the room. You can't take chances like that. It's not safe. You better not do that again. Well, he didn't say that. But he just said, you better stay safe and she shouldn't be taking chances like that. Which Sasha replied with, I won't do it again. The writer better described Jacobson's demeanor than I did. She said that there was nothing soft or comforting about Jacobson's presence. He didn't lead by gently convincing his followers like Moreno did. Jacobson demanded respect and obedience, and Sasha was happy to just be respectful and do as she was told. As such, she just bid Jacobson good night and thanked him for being here and promised that she won't do it again. In case you want another description of Brady, I'll bring you to Sasha's memory of her description of Brady while she was going to sleep. She says here that she pictured his wide shoulder, narrow hips, and long leg. Brady was the perfect picture of masculine. From the crown of his cowboy hat to the sole of his boots. His hazel eyes darkened when he was thinking and shivered when he laughed. And when he kissed her, something happened. But she did not went into describing that because she just remembered that feeling and went to sleep. Now we go to the next day, where Brady woke up at the break of dawn and noticed that a storm was coming. So I'm thinking later on this chapter, maybe the next chapter, but more likely this chapter itself, that the storm is gonna have a significance in this novel. Maybe Sasha and Brady's gonna get stuck in a storm, something as such, but we'll see what happens. Also, as disappointed as Brady was that Sasha was not here with him, had spent the night with him, he also acknowledged that it was probably the best solution because they needed to be professional. He decided that today he was only going to bodyguard Sasha, mainly because his case had been turned over to the CBI, which stands for the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. And even though he hated giving up jurisdiction and being taken out of the case, he acknowledged that the CBI had way more opportunities and facilities and ways to get this investigation going forward. They had trained personnel for autopsies and forensic, which the little town sheriff department did not have. Plus, they could look into the financial and they don't have as much restriction as the sheriff department did. Brady also pointed out that with a proper warrant, the CBI could search the financial records of the suspects to find out if they had actually hired someone to do the killing on their behalf. A part of him, however, felt like stepping back and letting the big boys take over like a failure. He didn't really like that feeling. This was his counting and his case. And as a lawman, he wanted to see the investigation through to the end. But I don't think he had much choice, especially since the sheriff told him he was out of the case. On the drive over to the hotel to pick Sasha up to bring her to Julie's place, Brady was putting together all the images he had of Sasha. Her warmth and her smile were natural, and she liked to think the best of people. She was not a pushover, though she did not dress in low-cut blouse or wear sultry makeup. She had that girl next door kind of success that made men stand up and take notice. When she was being professional, she was smart and efficient, whipping out her laptop, computer, and keeping everyone on track. While he was putting all those images together about Sasha, it dawned on him everybody is plugged in, and they bring with them the fancy electronic everywhere they go, especially professionals like Sasha and Lauren Robbins. In that moment, he realized that they had found Lauren's cell phone with her, but they did not find any of her laptops or any other types of briefcase like Sasha carried with her or any types of electronic, which was weird because a woman like Lauren will not be traveling to this distance without any of her professional stuff with her. When Brady circled around, he noticed that Lauren's car was still parked there, even though he had told McKinley, the sheriff, that the car was there needed to be picked up. And the CBI people didn't even take notice of it or didn't hear about it. Brady parked his SUV in front of that car, and he was wondering if Lauren had left anything inside that he should maybe investigate and see if he could find anything. At the same time, he was like, maybe he should just tell somebody from the CBI department so that he doesn't break protocol or just do something that he shouldn't do, since he's not in the case anymore. But at the back of his mind, he wanted to do a bit of investigation, especially since at the back of his SUV there was the low-tech tool used to break into a car when somebody had accidentally lost their keys. So he had the equipment to break into the car if he really wanted to. And Brady really wanted to find something or to still be a part of that investigation. As such, he opened the back of his case and took the equipment out. He used a wedge to pry open a narrow space at the driver's side window. He stuck the pole inside and wiggled it around until he could manipulate the lock. There was a click and the door was opened. When he opened the SUV, he noticed that the car was actually pretty old and beat up on the inside. As such, he was wondering that maybe Lauren was not as rich and successful as she appeared to be. Maybe it was all a pretend and she was actually suffering for money. And also she might have parked her old car in the parking lot away from the valley so that nobody will notice that she came out of that car. Wearing his gloves, he made a quick search of the car, front and back and under the seat, and then he went to the glove compartment where he found a black pattern leather notebook about the size of a paperback novel. He snapped a couple of pictures before touching it or before removing it, and then came the decision. Does he open it or does he not open it? The journal was bulging with post-it and script notes. The sides were held together with a fat rubber band. He hadn't found anything electronic, and the notebook was the only evidence. It was a very messy and non-electronic way of keeping track of appointments and phone numbers. And Brady figured Lauren had kept this notebook close to herself for some reason. So, as he was holding it, his fingers were itching to go through each pages and find something. But at the front of his mind, he knew he should just give it over to the CBI people and wash his hand clean. But at the back of his mind, he wanted to see what was inside. And he figured it wouldn't hurt to take a look at it first and just give it to the CBI people later. At least that's what he told himself when he went through the pages. Or actually when he started to open it. So what do you think was inside of the journal? Right now I don't have an inkling about what could be inside, because he did say that it's just phone numbers and post-it notes and appointment and stuff like that. But I'm thinking maybe within also there's a piece of paper for like some information, and maybe Westfield was supposed to come to Arcadia. Who knows? I don't. But what do you think was inside of the journal? Comment below and let me know. But until next time, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do click that like button, subscribe, and turn on that bell notification for next time I post a video. Until next time, big kisses.